The Breeders' Cup Saturday $100 budget edition of the Notorious OTB on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog. Underdog is hooking up new customers. Play just $5 and get $100 in bonus funds whenever you sign up with code SGPN. Welcome, everybody, to the Notorious OTB, brought to you by the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. And folks, as always,
it's all good, baby. It was all a dream.
We used to read Blood Horse Magazine. I got my Cuban.
Yes, Cuban B.
And I'm your host, Chase Sessoms, the Wolf of Oaklawn.
I'd rather be trapped than lazy. Don't care what they say, I'ma do what pays me. It happens every year about this time. Weaklings act like they lost their mind. Alphas reclaim the neighborhood. Rob the sheep and all the wolves get good.
Yes. Welcome to the show. Normally, this is where I tell you that my brother in arms, Barry Spears, is joining us. But no, he's got it like that. So he's out at the BC this weekend. But I've got an equal value trade, I'm going to go ahead and say. Joining me, you might know her from her work on Talking Horses as well as her work on America's Day at the Races on Fox Sports. Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Sara Elbadwi.
Can I make my phone call? Do I have rights? Can I make my phone call?
Who you gonna call?
Huh?
Who you gonna call?
Your mama.
How's it going?
It's going. I feel like it's there's no fair market value trade for Barry Spears, but happy to fill in and do what I can to be a part of the pod.
I'll have to check the blue book on what we can get for Barry Spears of this age, because he just had a birthday, you know.
Oh, okay. So now does he become more expensive, or
is he more of like an antique model
like
versus
an aged
just like
wine, fine cheese, maybe?
He's like an investment grade Bordeaux or something.
Yeah. Poor Barry. We're comparing him to delicacies, things like that.
To cheese, wine, and cars. When I think Barry Spears, there's definitely I think like cheese, wine, and cars. Well, if you caught the show yesterday, you know that we talked $100 budget for the BC Friday card. Well, we're back again. We're doing the same format. That's right. We've made it. We're there. Where's there? It's here. Technically, it's our Breeders' Cup Saturday show. And if you didn't think we were going to do a $100 budget show for BC Saturday, then you are a silly bitch indeed. We're talking about the Saturday BC races and how we plan to attack it with a $100 budget. Let's pull up some past performances here. There we go. Post time for the Breeders' Cup races tomorrow, starting in race 4 is 3 Eastern, 2 God's time, 12 p.m. Pacific time, out on the Pacific coast. And Sara, before we dive in, what did you think of the BC Saturday card?
Well, I think the first thing that it was worth discussing is that we have Sovereignty coming out of the Breeders' Cup Classic with that fever, where it was something that they were monitoring whether or not he was going to spike a temperature again, and Bill Mott deciding to opt out of the Breeders' Cup Classic since he's not 100%. So we'll see what decisions are made for him moving forwards, whether they target a 4-year-old campaign or what that might be. But I think that that's sort of the biggest news going into Breeders' Cup Saturday. As well as the return of a horse like Tamra, who is going to be in this Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. I think she's going to be a little bit too short of a price to take, but it's interesting that they are so ambitious with the spot that they chose next for her.
So if you were to give me odds that we see Sovereignty race as a 4-year-old, where would you put them?
So if you asked me before this month, I would have said more like under 5-1, as in we would likely see him as a 4-year-old, because that was sort of the chatter that we had heard, that they were looking about longevity of his career, thinking about that 4-year-old campaign, going to want to target some of those races overseas as a 4-year-old for Godolphin. I don't know now, because of the amount of relevance that he has in this moment versus if he were to come back and not be quite as good. But at the same time, I don't think anybody's necessarily in any rush to find out with him what may be going on with him in the future, because at least it's something like a fever that can be cured relatively quickly rather than something that he would have to undergo some sort of surgery or have a long recovery time or something musculoskeletal where we don't necessarily know what kind of condition he would be returning in, if it would be exactly the same or better or potentially not quite as good.
I'm going to go ahead and say right now, I would give you 50-1 odds that he races next year.
Okay.
He's too valuable at this point. And it's the kind of value that us as like horse players and fans of the sport hate to see, because there's so much value in him not racing versus him actually racing. Whatever their cut of like a $7 million, purse is probably pales in comparison to what they can get in the breeding shed. Real quick, don't forget the NFL, MLB, NBA, college football, and NHL are all live, and we got podcasts giving out free picks for everything. Subscribe to the SGPN feed to catch every episode wherever you get your podcasts. Sarah, I'm going to go ahead and kick it off today. My first play comes out of race 4, 7 furlongs, the $1 million Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint. It's a grade 1 on the dirt. I'm playing a $10 win on the number 2 Splendora at 8-1. I'm keeping it relatively conservative in this spot with a horse that looks like it's building to something more and could really pop in this spot. And I guess I'm just a Bob Baffert simp, because like yesterday's show, I found another other Bob horse, or in this case, the other Bob horse that I'm quite fond of in this race. Splendora, I mean, at 8-1, put out her highest buyer last out, and I think that she can take yet another step forward after going gate to wire in the last out start in the restricted stakes race. I think that this one, however, has a little bit of rate to her, and if those are the tactics, then I like the trip that Splendora stands to get. It's also notable to me that Bob puts up a jockey that he's won 31% of the time with Flavian Pratt getting on and Juan Hernandez hopping off. Splendora has only hit the board once in 2 tries at the distance, but I like her cutting back to a 1-turn 7 furlong race in this spot. Should get a rail trip, saving all the ground, and have the kick to run into what should be a wicked hot pace early. Yes, if Matthew DeSantis is out there watching, I did indeed say that a sprint race might break down on the front end. Before you make fun of me for thinking that the race will break down, you should take a look at some of the track stats that Matthew DeSantis did for the Del Mar Summer Meet that showed that you actually wanted to be a little bit off the pace. So I'm going ahead, keeping it simple in race 4 with a $10 win on the number 2 Splendora. Now, Sarah, you've got your first play coming out of race 4 as well.
I do, and I go towards the outside with a couple of horses where I have, I guess, sort of the main Bob in Hope Road, as well as a price towards the outside. Hope Road coming out of that win in the Ballerina at the 7 furlong distance, and then Praying, a horse who's really come to hand as of late. John Velasquez will be back aboard. He was aboard for that victory at a price in her last start. She was a huge price, longest shot in the field when she was able to upset the prioress. And I think that she's one that's just sort of improving at the right time. And with all the sprinters that are proven within this race, I didn't necessarily want a horse that was cutting back in distance, because we do see some quality sprinters where, at least with her, she showed that the race in the prioress was no fluke. She was able to do so again. And I think if I'm going to get a price on anybody in this race and John Velasquez is aboard, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's hard to turn down Johnny V in those quiet hands of his. Any opportunity. Plus, you get a horse from one of my favorite trainer names to say, Funky Bob Medina. Like the Funky Cold Medina. Yeah, I see you smiling. You know what I'm talking about. She does.
Actually,
okay,
go ahead. I was going to
No.
say, I had the opportunity over the summer to tell John Velasquez that my favorite Breeders' Cup ride of his was in a filly and mare sprint, and it was on Gamine, where he kind of faked out Serengeti Empress like he was going to go and then took back. And he said that ride actually was not to instruction where he won.
Yeah. I there are certain jockeys that I feel like whenever the trainer approaches them and tells them the tactics for the race, they're just like, yeah, I'm not gonna fucking do that. I'm gonna do whatever I want. I'm looking at you, Irad, taking my speed to the back. Same thing for you, Joel. All right, we move it on. We hit race 6, where my next play comes from. Race 6 furlongs, $2 million, the Breeders' Cup Sprint. That's right, this one for the boys, a grade 1, also on the dirt. I'm playing a $5 exacta 2-5 with 125. I'm opting to tie myself to a couple of rockets and wheeling in the deeper closer in this race in my exacta. If I get one of these two horses I'm using on top, then I'm pretty excited by my chances to hit this exacta bigly. On top, I'm going to be using the 2 Banishing at 15-1. They seem to be trying to figure out Banishing because it's a very talented horse, but the different distances in the starts leads me thinking that they've been looking for the distance that will hit it right between the eyes. And I think that this 6 furlong distance may be it. Banishing is a perfect 2 for 2 with the distance. It showed the ability to rate and win over just some ho-hum paces. He should be getting a much hotter pace to run into here, and the projected trip puts him rating on the rail and saving ground. I don't think that Gaffleone quarter horses this out of the gate. I think that the track will favor this kind of trip, and you'll see a horse like Banishing win this thing. The other horse I'm putting on top is the number 5, Big City Lights, Papa Mandela. It's another horse that looks like he's trending to something bigger in this race. Pratt jumps off of this one, and Big City Lights gets Kazushi Kimura back up, who's won aboard Big City Lights. I love seeing the long 5 furlong bullet work heading into this race, and the pace shakes out well, especially if he gets the wide stocking trip that I'm projecting with him being mid-pack. So I'm going to use those 2 on top. Underneath, wheeling into second, I'm going to use the number 1, Copian at 7-2. I like Copian quite a bit, but my fear is with the projected trip that Copian might get lost in the sauce a little bit towards the front or damn near it. And the early speed kind of might tucker him out a little bit. We'll see. I like this horse, but it looks more like a board hitter. And hopefully he hits the board underneath 2 of my big prices I used on top, or hopefully this thing goes 2-5 or 5-2. So that's a $20 play with the $5 exacta 2-5 with 1-2-5. Sarah, you've got to play in race 7, but real quick, got to get a word in from our good friends at MyBookie because we are brought to you by MyBookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet on football and everything else, and their prop builder is second to none. Their motto is bet on anything, anywhere, anytime. Easy deposit and lightning fast payouts using crypto. Head to MyBookie.ag, promo code SGPN for a 100% bet back bonus up to $500 for new customers. That's MyBookie.ag, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Novig. Novig is America's #1 sports prediction market. Novig, you're getting the best prices. It's available in 35 states. Download the Novig app and get $50 when you spend $5 if you use our promo code SGPN. Get in on the action with Novig, promo code SGPN. If you excuse me, I need to get a brief rehydration interlude in.
The battle begins.
All right, we're back, and what are we doing? Sarah and I are giving out free picks.
And I make nothing. Zero. Zilch. By the time I pay all my scientists, all my people in my research department, lab coats, it's a wash. Well, why you do it then, baby Billy? Well, because I'm selfless.
Because we're selfless, we're rolling into race 7. Where Sarah, you've got a couple plays for us here. What are you thinking in race 7, which is the 9 furlong, $2 million Breeders' Cup Distaff?
Well, I think that this race becomes much more open with Torpedo Anna retiring. Not that I necessarily thought that she was a guaranteed win contender, but she was the one that was going to be significantly bet in this race. And so with her out, I think that opens things up from a betting standpoint where I wanted a couple horses that I think are proven and have shown that they are capable of being sort of at the top of the division of what's been an open division, both with the 3-year-olds and the older fillies and mares. But I'm starting out with a 3-year-old included in a 50-cent base trifecta box, and that is Clicquot, who won the Cotillion, a horse that's been on this win streak really since breaking her maiden. And I think that she's another one. You can just see the trend. She's been moving in the right direction. She had a little bit of time off between the Indiana Oaks as well. Going into that Cotillion, she was able to go buy dry powder at a little bit of a price. And I think that she's one that I don't mind Flavien Prat getting back aboard this horse where he's available now that he was coming off of the attempted substitution for Brian Hernandez Jr. on Torpedo Anna. And I don't mind him getting on whatsoever over Irad Ortiz Jr., certainly both capable. And then I also wanted to throw in some horses that are going to be some of the shorter prices in here and just make some sense with a horse like the number 8, if you get to Seismic Beauty, who is going to be your favorite for Bob Baffert coming in here. The triple-digit buyer speed figures speak for themselves. They're ones that are just better than what we've seen from a lot of this field. But I also sort of question the quality of company that Seismic Beauty has run against. Even though I have respect for horses like Copian and Richie, it seems as though she's going to have to face some horses that have already built some credentials that maybe she hasn't before. If you take out her last 2 races, she's not as much of a standout as her price is going to suggest. And then as well, Dorth Vader, one that almost defeated Torpedo Anna in that exciting rendition of that grade 1 over at Saratoga. And I thought that she was one that she always showed some promise and ability, but she's really improved as of late. I think she was a little bit with the racetrack when she was able to win the Ogden Phipps over a wet track, but you can see her finishing second, almost a note, to Torpedo Anna, her first triple-digit by her speed figure, and she's had the time off since then. So I wanted to do a box try with them, and then I also just wanted to do a straight 3 over 812 over 812 trifecta as well, in case Clico is ending up in front. Then she's going to be the biggest price of the 3.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're thinking the same thing with some of these numbers here, and I like that you're boxing because my horse was one of the ones that you added in the box that I'm trying to key. I'm playing a $10 win on number 12, Dorth Vader, and a $5 exacta, 12 with 1/8. The question in this race is going to be who challenges the high cruising speed of Seismic Beauty, your morning line favorite at 9-5, and this horse can run really fast. Seismic Beauty can run really fast for a really long time, but I think it's going to struggle because there will be a few horses that only have a chance to win if they press the early pace, despite the fact that neither are necessarily good enough to win here. And I'm thinking the 7 Gin at 12-1, the 9 Majestic Oops at 30-1, and the 11 Dry Powder should all be up close, possibly pushing Seismic Beauty faster than she wants to go. And Seismic Beauty has been beaten up on some weaker competition, small fields of 5 horses, and only one of those horses in the weaker races went on to win their next start. I'm playing Dorth Vader in this spot to upset the Bob Baffert favorite Seismic Beauty, and Dorth Vader should be sitting just off the early pace of the 4 horses I mentioned that won it on the front end. And I think that she's going to have enough kick to finish late. And while Dorth Vader finished second last out the personal incident in Saratoga, like you said, it's worth noting that she finished second to Torpedo Anna by a nose and took a huge step forward in speed figures, putting up that triple-digit figure. Another step forward in speed figures puts her in a very competitive position. Underneath in the exacta, I'm going to use number 1 Nitrogen at 4-1, who should be running late, and the Bob Speedster, the 8 Seismic Beauty, who's probably going to be the horse that, if this runs like I think it will, is who Dorth Vader gets up late. So we're thinking the same thing with Dorth Vader here. I really like to see this horse take a step forward, and it looks like George Weaver's managed to get this one to take a step forward off of layoff. So do you have any? I know you're a New York person. Do you have any strong feelings on George Weaver?
I don't know him that well, but anytime I've interacted with him, he's been great, and it seems as though he's one that has a lot of respect, both on the backside and front side.
I don't know what it is, but I don't think I've ever seen a picture of George Weaver, but I think he and I would be friends. I think it would be cool. He's got a non-assuming name with George and Weaver.
Yeah, I feel like you could be friends with most of the people involved in horse racing, and it would take like a significant personality for me to say, oh no, Chase would not get along with them.
That's probably true. I'm like a fucking golden retriever puppy. there are no strangers.
How can anyone not like you?
Friends. Yeah, look at I'm fuzzy. Look at me. You should just rub my belly. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna elaborate on that. Sarah, we're rolling it forward, and it looks like you and I did a good job of avoiding turf races because we both have our next plays coming out of race 9. And I believe this actually wraps up your $100 budget for the day, because you've got a win bet as well as a pick 3 running from race 9 to race 11. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to let you lead it off, and I'm going to pepper you in with your pick 3 as we go through these. So race 9, who's going to win the classic? The $7 million 10 furlong Breeders' Cup Classic. Who's winning it?
Look, I'm going with a horse whose price is certainly not one that is what it was on the original morning line, given that Sovereignty was still in the race. But revised morning line, still 5-1. Journalism, the number 9 horse, who is getting that jockey change that we've certainly had plenty of buzz about, with Jose Ortiz climbing aboard, Alberto Rispoli no longer retaining the mount on Journalism. And look, a lot could be made of this ride, or that it may not have mattered in terms of getting this jockey change. But that's not necessarily why I'm so gung-ho on a horse like Journalism to be in this spot. He's one that could have a step forward. He's a horse that's already got the proven foundation, got the proven ability to sit closer if necessary, given that we might not see as much pace in this race as we did in last year's Breeders' Cup Classic. I like that he draws towards the outside in here. And I just think he was too far back in the Pacific Classic. And look, we all saw the Preakness. We all saw what he was able to overcome, and he's running down a horse like Gosker. But the horses that he's going to be facing in this field are a step above what we've seen from the field that he faced in the Preakness. It's more about him getting some forward position, unlike he has in his last couple of starts. If there is that step forward, if it is a difference maker for him, he's going to be the right price to find out if he can improve versus other horses where they are already so talented and good, but I don't see any upside with them.
Okay, and you're hitting Journalism with when you texted me your pick, it made me kind of perk up because I think this is the first $50 win wager in show history.
Oh wow! Okay, making history in the show.
Yeah, so if you hit it, you're therefore, I mean, you're already a legend, but you're even more of a legend. You're even more legendary if you go ahead and hit that for the $50 base, because I do think that you're going to get your price on Journalism. Interesting change with Jose Ortiz. I went a little bit different in the Breeders' Cup Classic. I've got a $10 win. Oh, by the way, is that the only horse you're using in your pick three? Did you say that? And
I didn't mention it, but yeah, I'm also starting a $2 pick three here, and it's a single of Journalism in this spot.
There we go. She's singling Journalism here. I'm going a different direction with the number 5, Forever Young, with a $10 win bet, and I'm going to try to maximize that opinion by pressing it with an exacta, with a $5 exacta, 5 over 127. The most noteworthy thing about this race, of course, is who's not going to be there. I mean, you have your Kentucky Derby, Belmont, and Travers Stakes champion, who I think honestly probably would have won the Triple Crown for ran in the Preakness. Like we've mentioned, Spike to Fever, not here, so let's stop talking about him. It seems to me that the majority of the horses in this race are more kind of like dead closers. And I think it's a horse out front in this race that can take it home. And it wouldn't be an episode of the Notorious OTB if I didn't tout a Japanese horse. And that's exactly what the fuck I'm doing here. Forever Young at 6-1 ships back over to the United States, following a win in the Saudi Cup and a third place finish in the Dubai World Cup. Following those, Forever Young easily handled the field in a tune-up in Japan before shipping over. I don't think that any of the competition wants to necessarily go with him. And I think that he's able to take the field, if not gate to wire, and stalking the early pace. And I'm going to bet to win, and that I'm going to keep Forever Young in the first place of an exacta with 3 horses that are what I think are dead closers, that I think are more likely to get the minor awards. The first one's going to be Fierceness at 4-1, who will be the closest to the early pace of these 3. The 2, Baeza at 15-1. This one was just the third wheel behind Sovereignty and Journalism, the Kentucky Derby, and Belmont. If I wasn't so sold on Forever Young, then I think Baeza would be my pick, because Baeza seems like the horse that actually could move forward to something, whereas the other one's kind of maybe topped out during the summer. And then underneath, I'm using the 7, last year's Breeder Cup Classic winner, Sierra Leone, at 8-1. And while I think he's definitely got some chops, I just don't think he's going to have the benefit of a very hot pace to run into late. So that's it for me in race 9. A $10 win, number 5, Forever Young, and a $5 exacta, 5 with 1, 2, 7. You roll your pick 3 into race 10, the FanDuel Breeders' Cup Mile, going 8 furlongs, $2 million is the purse. How spread out are we here? Oh, you're muted.
Oh, there we go. The dogs are yelling in the other room, so I tried to spare everybody as much as I could. I went ahead and used all in here because I don't have a strong opinion in a lot of the turf races for the Breeders' Cup overall. If I can get Journalism home and I can get a price in here, and even if I don't necessarily get a price in here, if I have a horse like Journalism, who I think will be that middle range price, I'm happy with whatever moves forward, because if you include all of these horses where trip matters so much, where I think there's many cases to be made for a variety of contenders, I would say that it wasn't enough for me to feel confident to leave somebody out. So went ahead, I went all, and then I went back to yet another single in the upcoming race, and that will be number 2 Nisos, or sorry, number 2 Nisos. So I think that he's one where, looking at the numbers that he's been able to put up, they're just a little bit faster than what we've seen from the competition. Or sorry, number 3 Nisos. My mistake there. His only one loss, I can forgive that. He was basically in a photo for that finish. And look, he's going to be a short price coming into the race, but I think that it's deservedly so. So I'm doing a $2 pick 3, journalism in the classic, to all, to then number 3 Nisos in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile.
There we go. So we've got one of those big in the middle kind of pick 3s there where we're hitting the all button. Real quick in race 10, if given the disclaimer that you don't necessarily have the strongest opinion here, if you had to pick one horse out of the all, do you have one that you like more?
I think the Lion in Winter is pretty interesting coming in this Euro. I think Notable Speech would have to be included in any serious multis. So the number 4 as well as the number 2. And then I think that the Euros do just have an edge this year over what we have going to contest the race from our U.S. contingent. So I would mostly stick to those 2 as my leans within the race. But again, no strong opinion.
I'll tell you what, Johannes is a personal favorite, and I feel like that's a horse that can maybe jump up and surprise some Euros. Other than that, I just show Charlie Appleby my soft, fuzzy underbelly and just say, do your worst, because I've been kicked around by Charles Appleby and Chucky Apples and Billy Buck, as our friend Matthew DeSantis would say, several times, and I just don't bet against them anymore. It's a system play, which is stop letting Charles Appleby beat the ever-loving shit out of me on Saturdays and Sundays. All right, here we go. I've got my last play coming out of race 11, but real quick, before I hit it, don't forget, Underdog is your home for pick'em entries where you can win up to 5,000 times your entry. And Underdog's got a brand new offer to new customers. Play just $5 and get $100 in bonus funds when you sign up with code SGPN. And, of course, we're brought to you by the good nerds at Rhythm. And Rhythm is crushing it in college football, NFL, and now just added the NBA. And Rhythm is also giving away weekly cash prizes just for tracking your bets in the app. Track 5 bets of the same type from any model you build, and you can win $1,000. Use promo code SGPN25 when you download the Rhythm app for 25% of your first month. Download the Rhythm and use promo code SGPN. That's RITHMM Rhythm. All right, I need to get yet another brief rehydration interlude in.
You want to see me kick some ass? I do fucking karate. You want to
I'm hoping to kick some ass here in race 11, the 8 furlong $1 million Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. I'm playing. I thought it was a strong win bet until you showed up and trumped me with a $50 win bet. I'm playing a $25 win on the number 4 Mystic Dan at 6-1. Listen, if Mystic Dan wins, I'm going to go get a Mystic Tan. I might buy a Mystic Van. I'll make salmon in a Mystic Pan. Yeah, I could keep going. I know things that end in "an" and I can use, but 6-1 here. So first, I'm going to tell you my concern with Mystic Dan. It looks like an AB kind of horse, and this might make him a candidate for a B performance after winning the Lucas Classic at Churchill Downs for McPeak under Frank Arrieta. That's the other knock, is that we don't have Brian Hernandez Jr. on the mount. But sometimes to get prices, you got to ignore a few warts. So I'm doing just that. I'm ignoring the warts, and I'm playing Mystic Dan because Mystic Dan will be very competitive in this race if he can run back to that Lucas Classic figure or improve. It's such a versatile horse. We know it can win on the stretch out up to 10 furlongs because we saw that in the 2024 Kentucky Derby. And he won at 9 furlongs multiple times in stakes races, graded ones at that. I think that Mystic Dan is going to relish the cut back in distance. And at this distance, going 2 turns still works for him. I think that's the thing that's going to play out for him, is that it is a 2-turn mile at Del Mar. I love the workout pattern heading into this race for McPeak. We got the bullet 5 furlong work back on October 18th, followed by a slow leg stretcher going 4 furlongs and 48-1. as long as Mystic Dan doesn't have a down performance in that AB pattern, that he's more than capable of winning this race. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to play probably my strongest bet of the show here with a $25 win on the number 4 Mystic Dan. Fun fact about Mystic Dan. One of the owners, when I used to do tip sheets, was a tip sheet customer, and they had tried to tell me about Mystic Dan several times. There are text messages I can find. They're like, "Hey, this horse is running an allowance at Churchill Downs. Hey, this horse is running in the Southwest. Hey, this is what we think our horse could win the Kentucky Derby." And I was like, "Whatever," because I don't take tips from other people. But that's exactly how that shit went down. So, am I getting on the Mystic Dan train a little bit late, Sarah?
I mean, it's never too late, I guess. But some might say that you missed the boat a little bit with some of his prior successes, especially when he was prices. But look, it's not like he's going to be a super short price coming into here. And at least he's one of those Kentucky Derby winners that we have seen go on and be victorious a couple of times since that race, including coming in off that win over some horses that we're going to see cut back in distance, like Banishing. So I think that he's interesting. He's not for me, but like I said yesterday, if it's not me, I hope it's you.
There we go. So we're in. I'm doing the blackjack dealer thing. We are in for our $100 budget bets. I'm curious, do you have any like special, is there anything you do every Breeders' Cup?
Every Breeders' Cup, I end up yelling a little bit too enthusiastically at the TV, regardless of where I am, whether it's on set or whether it's watching the races by myself or it's looking at my phone in inopportune times. I mean, I end up being pretty enthusiastic about Breeders' Cup races just because they're exciting and it's finally that culmination of what we've been talking about all year. But as far as like anything ritualistic or anything superstitious in terms of making sure that I always do the same thing to warrant some good luck, can't say that that is the case.
So my wife, for some reason, always took a trip to see her parents the week of the Kentucky Derby and the week of the Breeders' Cup, and I'm starting to see a pattern now, and I understand it because I think usually I'm handicapping, I'm not sleeping, and I make the room just smell like Red Bull and ass. So they're going to be here. I'm going to a chili cook-off. This is how much I just want to say. This is how much I love my wife and kids. I'm leaving on Breeders' Cup Saturday to go to a chili cook-off with some of her coworkers. So I should get some husband brownie points. Though the guy's a big gambler. He said that the races will be on, so we'll see.
I was gonna say that chili better be good.
It better, yeah. Multiple chilies better be good since it's a cook-off. And yeah, if you're gonna bring me out of here on BC Saturday, you better have some damn delicious chili. All right, let's get into what the people might be fast forwarding through on this. Fast forwarding forward to in this episode on YouTube. Let's recap some picks. Sarah, have at it.
All right, Billion Mare Sprint, the 4th race, kicking off Breeders' Cup Saturday at $5 exacta box with the number 8 Hope Road, as well as the up-and-coming Praying towards the outside. In the 7th race, the Distaff, I have a 50-cent try box with Clico, the number 3, 8 Seismic Beauty, as well as the 12 Darth Vader, and then I'm also playing yet another 50-cent try with the Clico on top, the number 3, the 3-year-old facing older, as well as 812 over 812. Journalism is sort of the key to the day. $50 to win on Journalism in the Classic, who I think it will be the right price and could take that step forward. And a $2 pick 3 starting in that race with Journalism, then All, and then the number 3 Nisos in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile to close things out.
There we go. That's her $100 budget. Here's mine for Saturday at the Breeders' Cup. Race 4, I'm playing a $10 win on the number 2 Splendora. Race 6, I'm playing a $5 exacta, 2-5 with 1-2-5. Race 7, $10 win on the number 12 Darth Vader and a $5 exacta, 12 with 1-8. Race 9, $10 win, number 5 Forever Young and a $5 exacta with 5 over the 1-2-7. That's Forever Young over Baeza. Other horses that escape my mind right now. Anywho, race 11, I finish it off with a $25 win on the number 4 Mystic Dan. Sarah, you've made it through multiple $100 budget shows in 1 week. There are a few people who can say that they've done that.
I feel like I'm already making so much show history with the win bet amount, and so now to do back-to-back shows, it's truly an honor to be a part of the Times.
There we go. And not to mention, you're making it a 3 for 3 tomorrow morning, because we'll be back at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. God's time, because we're going to be talking. We're going to give you just our very best bets for Friday and our very best bets for Saturday. So we'll both have one race and one bet picked out for both those days that we really like. It might be a rehash, but hey, if it's an opinion that you like, you might as well play it. So make sure to check us out tomorrow. Make sure you follow us the show at Notorious_OTB. You can follow me at of Oaklawn. You follow Sarah at Outrun the Odds, which is one of the cooler Twitter handles. I just want to say for the record. And if you're watching on YouTube, go ahead, subscribe to the show. We do this 5 days a week. I'm out of breath now. I'm winded from all the touting. That's going to do it for us here at the Notorious OTB, brought to you by the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. I'm going to ride out on the same clip. We will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
And I'll have enough money to hit the club and get some fresh clothes on this.